Hi, my name is Jacob Clemens. I'm the director of the Marvin Center for Student Leadership here at Bowling Green State University. I'm excited to have a special guest with us as part of the Leading Public Good series we're doing. I'd like to welcome Chair of our Board of Trustees, Betty Montgomery, to the Leading Public Good series. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jacob.
And I've had an opportunity to talk with you in the past. We've hosted you in the Marvin Center to speak with students around leadership and leadership topics and the leadership challenges and opportunities you faced throughout your career. So I'm very excited to talk with you a little bit about your leadership and kind of your story around leading public good. So would you please share a moment or experience while a student at Bgsu that was particularly impactful and helped you become the person you are today?
I tell you, I was a commuter student, and I moved to Bowling Green the summer before I started school. So I didn't know anybody in Bowling Green. And I was very lonely, and at the time, we didn't have a good outreach to commuter students. I became a member of a sorority, and what that permitted me to do was to have a leadership role, to be engaged in student organizations and student issues. That was really important to me. It gave me a sense that the university, it cared about me and it knew I was around. It also gave me a group of friends. It gave me, I think, some grounding to when I left school to try to figure out where I wanted to go after that.
Yeah, those out-of-class experiences, the mortarboard, the sorority, helping develop a sense of yourself,
right.
A sense of community here on
Absolutely.
campus, preparing you to...
Giving you leadership opportunities.
Practicing leadership.
Believe me, when you're in an all one-gender organization, and I was, I think, president of our English honorary, and so you end up learning what you do well and what you don't do well. And if you don't recognize it yourself, somebody will be happy to point it out to you.
We always talk about learning leadership theory is easy, practicing leadership is very difficult.
It's very difficult.
You got to fail a lot to learn.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite location at Bgsu?
Well, I can tell you, when I was a commuter student, there was no place to go. So I was always at the Union. And the reason I was at the Union was I learned to drink coffee, not because I loved coffee, but you could get coffee for, now this will age me, for 15 cents. And you could get refills for free. So I could sit in the Union, I could work whatever I needed to do in between classes, and I could have coffee. So for me, oddly enough, my favorite public place would have been the student union. I loved being there because you had a real sense of community there. And for somebody who didn't know anybody on off campus, that was really important to me.
What core values guide your life?
I was very fortunate to be raised in a family that had very strong values and taught us and lived them. And it's a very simple do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that golden rule meant that you had an obligation outside yourself. And so for me, honesty, integrity, caring about your fellow human beings. From the time I was in elective office, every day, the question was, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Did I meet my values?
In kind of day-to-day, you shared some examples, but day-to-day, how might I see, or other people who are around you see your core values coming to life?
Well, if you were to talk to my Attorney General staff when I was Attorney General, I think you would hear we have an issue. I don't want to hear about politics. I don't want to hear how it will play in the public. We have a hard decision to make. If it were an easy decision, it wouldn't be in my office. So tell me the facts. Tell me the law. Tell me how you interpret the law. Give me a proposed resolution. After we have that resolution, let's see then, how do we sell it? Or the answer is not one that we're going to probably be able to get done. How do we get as close to that as possible? What that did was it aligned with the core values, which is, where is your honesty and integrity? But also, your job as Attorney General is to live under the rule of law. So you don't want to be a willow in the wind. And So I think you will hear from my staff that I was very insistent that our decision-making be done without the outside influences.
Thank you for sharing. I'm always fascinated by people's core values and where we see them coming through, and you are exactly right. They are the kind of the foundation of who we are, and if you start wavering, you lose all credibility, and then you're not much of a leader if people can't trust you.
No. At some point, and I think you've heard me say this, Jacob, I realized I want to be respected. And to be respected means you make some tough decisions, and it means sometimes you stand against a gale against you. But you have to do what you think is right.
You, from hearing you talk multiple times to student groups, you talked a lot about breaking down barriers. Can you share a little bit about those experiences, breaking down barriers throughout your career?
Because I was raised in a family that said you can be anything you want to be, and that you should never give up, never give up, never give up. You know, when I ran for county prosecutor here in Wood County, there were no women prosecutors in the state. The county chairman called me at the last moment because our county prosecutor decided at the last moment not to run for re-election. And they didn't have a candidate, and they had to come up with a candidate in with 3 or 4 days. The county chairman for my party called me and said, "Would you like to run?" Now, why did he do that? Well, first of all, because he loved to help women. He was very open about trying to bring women into the political system. But the other thing that happened was, I said yes, but by Monday, I had a primary opponent. Now, why was that? Because nobody thought that a woman could get elected. I said yes because I think I can get elected. Now, those are my words. Now, you got to follow that up with hard work, and with integrity, with honesty, and never giving up. And I beat my primary opponent. And I can remember the very first time we had a debate. It was in Pemberville. It was the Farm Bureau annual meeting. There were men and women farmers. And we had to do our 3-minute I speech. I hated them because you always had to start your sentences with, "I did this, I will do that, blah, blah, blah." And it was not a very humble, you had to tell people, elect me, and this is why you need to elect me. And I remember him standing up and saying, because he went first, giving his speech. And at the very end, because he thought it was humorous, he looked at me and he said, "And Betty, may the best man win." And there were little chuckles along the way. And I thought to myself, I hope you keep saying that. Because in a farm community, the woman feeds the cows, runs the tractor, is an equal partner with her husband. She's not going to particularly like the fact that you have assumed something not in evidence. So along the way, you run into those things. And I find for the most part, the best way to get around barriers is just to do the work you do.
In hearing you speak before, I know that is just one step of the many challenges and barriers that you've broken, especially in our state of Ohio. You're the first to hold many different offices, and from my perspective have definitely demonstrated these core values in each step of the way and proved yourself and did the work. And so I really appreciate, especially for the students who you've talked to and mentored in programs we host, you're such a shining role model of breaking down these barriers, living out your core values, and really doing good and bringing other folks with you as you go.
Thank you.
So what piece of advice would you give to a current Bgsu student?
The first thing is that, and I can remember being graduating here, and there were so many choices, and there's even more choices now, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was afraid to make a decision because what if it was wrong? I'd ruin my life. I would have chosen a job that wasn't appropriate. And by the way, when you start those jobs, don't just shake hands with it, looking over the job's shoulder for another job. Do the job you have in front of you. Doesn't mean you don't want to look to better yourself, but and even when you're at your most discouraged, keep moving one foot in front of the other. I ran for offices. I gave up running unopposed when I was county prosecutor for the state senate. And it would mean I wouldn't have a job. And I remember going to bed. I had to let folks know the next day. And I remember saying to myself, what will I say about myself at the end of my life? Will I look around at this moment and say, if only? Yeah. I don't want to ever have to say, if only. There'll be something better along the way.
So before we kind of get on, there's one question I wanted to add. So our Marvin Center for Student Leadership is named after C. Raymond Marvin, a Bgsu alum. And I understand from previous conversations with you that you know Dr. Marvin. Would you share a little bit about how you came to know Dr. Marvin and kind of that friendship that has emerged through the years?
Ray Marvin, when I was the Attorney General, I was running for Attorney General. Ray Marvin was the first executive director of the National Association of Attorneys General. And he had some folks that worked in Ohio under Attorney General, a former Attorney General. And we got to know each other during a campaign. Back in 1994, 95, I became the Attorney General. And he is such a cheerleader. He is a remarkable man. And he is of the other party and a very strong partisan on the other side. He's a thoughtful, caring, giving, creative guy. Now, I'm running on the other party, but he was a cheerleader. It's like, go for it. And he loves Bowling Green. He just loves Bowling Green. Those are the kind of graduates, you look at that and you say, aren't I blessed to have gone to Bowling Green? Such a quality leader, quality education and quality leadership. And Ray epitomizes that. He's just a wonderful man.
He truly is. It's been an absolute honor in my career to get to work with, talk with, be mentored by Dr. Marvin. So BGSU is a public university for the public good. As a graduate of this university, what ways have you contributed to the public good or hope to in the future?
I said to myself, I don't want to go into private practice. I want to go in the public sector because I don't ever want to say to somebody who has a problem, I can help you if you pay me. Not that that is a bad thing. I try to help people who otherwise might not be able to help themselves. I put together a sexual abuse prevention project in 1981 when we put it in all the schools. I think it's still going on, but we were working with social workers and psychiatrists and psychologists as we were working through particularly our juvenile court systems and looking at kids who were neglected and abused and all of that as part of the job. And that's just one example, just taking a look at what your job is and then working with others to try to expand that work.
Those are, I think, good examples of both the kind of the macro public good that you can do, but also that individual, the impact you can have for the individual. And that's also very, very important, and especially for those folks, has meant the world of difference in their life. Thank you, Chair Montgomery.
My pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so transparent and authentic with me.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So
thank you
so much.
God bless. Thank you.